ferocious blobs, swamp things. It's the stuff of horror movies. But these creepy killers are real. And sometimes fact is stranger than fiction. A good scary movie has an element of suspense. Or an awesome bloodbath. Or strange creatures like these. They rise from the deep. A gelatinous mass without blood, without bones, without even a brain. Like the star of the horror movie, The Blob. Some jellyfish are as big as a human. Others are smaller, but more deadly. They're some of the most poisonous creatures on Earth. Humans can't escape their toxins. Hundreds have died from the sting of a particularly deadly species. The box jellyfish. And it's watching you watch it. With 24 eyes, 24, clustered around the four corners of their bell, giving them 360-degree vision. And all those eyes face inward, toward the stomach. It's hungry. And it doesn't need a brain to deploy its deadly weapons. Each of the flowing tentacles is lined with millions of spring-loaded harpoons called nematocysts. These tiny barbs are unrivaled by almost anything else on the planet. When a creature brushes against them, they fire like harpoons. Only an ultra-high-speed camera under a microscope can capture these images. The lethal harpoons explode with the force of a bullet. In fact, this is one of the fastest biological processes in nature. Blink, and you miss it. The barbed harpoons lodge under the skin. By the millions, they pump venom into this unfortunate fish. But the real horror is yet to come. The victim is paralyzed, but still alive. Its mouth open, as in a silent scream of terror. Creepier still, it's slowly digested to death. In full view through the transparent blob that's eating it alive. Blobs without brains, with whip-fast harpoons and 24 eyeballs. So look out, the blob could be coming to a beach near you. Japan, where creatures wriggle with hunger. They look like aliens from a distant planet. Or masterful special effects generated by a computer. But these guys are real. The larvae of giant hornets. They signal their insatiable appetites by scratching on the walls of their cells. Creepy to humans, grating on the adult hornets. It's up to them to feed the babies, and these babies eat flesh, ground into meatballs, and delivered to their gaping mouths. It's time to hunt. A single scout takes wing, searching for fresh meat for the ravenous youngsters. she finds the perfect restaurant, a hive of European honeybees, and marks it with her pheromones. The other hornets are close behind. And they really are giants, nearly 8 centimeters long. Their sharp talons seize prey and powerful jaws rip limbs and tear flesh. European honeybees are small, but they're prepared to fight to the death, which is exactly what they're gonna get. They're not native to Japan and haven't evolved a fighting strategy, so they mass at the entrance of the hive, where the slaughter begins. Giant hornets are 5 times the size of honeybees. Sure, a hornet or two will die in the battle, but the bees fall by the thousands, decapitated, slashed, ripped to pieces. In only hours, 20 to 30 hornets can wipe out a hive of 30,000 bees. The ground is covered with a carpet of dying insects. The victors take their spoils. They can rob the fresh bee flesh at their leisure. For now, they gorge on honey, even licking it from the carcasses. The unborn bee larvae are eaten and chewed to a paste. Yes, the babies of the bees are chewed up to feed the babies of the hornets. Back at the hive, they wait and scrape for the coming flesh. If you have a weakness for slasher films, then this 8-legged critter is for you. One of the deadliest in the world, the Sydney funnel web doesn't just kill insects, it can kill people. Before anti-venom came along, hundreds died of spider bites. Fortunately, it terrorizes just a small corner of the world, around the Australian city of Sydney. They're tall, dark, and handsome. With glossy black heads and dark brown bodies, their name comes from the funnel shape of their webs, built in dark, cool spots. Silk lines run across the ground like hidden tripwires. A victim unwittingly triggers the alarm, and the Sydney funnel web comes scuttling. Prey is quickly pulled into a vortex of death, and there's rarely an escape. These incredibly toxic spiders usually go for insects and frogs. But males do like to wander, and don't seem to have qualms about sashaying up to humans. Leaf litter provides the perfect camouflage. But this leading male is unlike other typical spiders. He's not a biter. He's a slasher. Most spiders have fangs that act like pincers, but the fangs of the funnel web are hard and straight, like daggers. To strike, they raise up their bodies and stab down again and again and again. With enough force to penetrate a toenail or tear through a garden glove. The agony is instant. Within a few minutes, the venom takes hold. Muscle spasms, sweating, stomach cramps. Signals to the brain go haywire. The heart races. Limbs twitch. Blood pressure skyrockets. Fluid fills the lungs. Then, the victim goes into cardiac arrest. Death can come within an hour without medical intervention. All because of this relatively small but effective spider. The Sydney funnel web. A real slasher. Of the most toxic kind. It's a face that looms out of the depths of a nightmare. But this isn't the silent scream. It's how eels breathe, pumping water through the mouth and over the gills. Some reach 12 feet, as long as a car, but they're supple enough to hide in crevices. Here, a moray waits and sniffs the water. It has 2 nostrils on each side of its head, like the villain in certain wizardly movies. The eel's prey have a bag of seemingly magical tricks to elude him. Speed, camouflage, claws and spines. But morays have their own tactic, the element of surprise. This poor puffer's seen better days. And it's actually 2 bites in one. The eel has 2 sets of jaws. The first holds the squid. Then a second emerges from the gullet to grab the food and pull it down its throat. Talk about overkill. This eel that will not be named is a larger-than-life character in the magical world of coral reefs. On dry land, another deadly drama plays out in Arizona. This is the kingdom of Polyergus. There's a queen, her warriors, and these unfortunates, her slaves. The warriors are built to kill, with powerful jaws perfect for ripping apart the enemy. But they're pretty much useless for anything else. That leaves the slaves to do all the work maintaining the colony. They're another species altogether, called Formica. They serve their Polyergus masters, foraging for food and raising the royal young. But there's a problem. The slaves are getting old. It's time for the warriors to earn their keep. To go out and capture young replacements. They take off in a roiling mass of red aggression. Up to 2,000 ants on the march, spoiling for battle. They stream into a nest of hapless formicas and unleash hell. They kill the smaller species of ants that get in their way. Because what they're really after are the babies. warriors blow past the startled adults and grab as many unhatched pupae as they can carry. In this single devastating attack, Polyergus raiders can carry off 500 to 800 new slaves. The raiders transport the defenseless kidnapped brood to their own nest. When the youngsters hatch, they will learn to serve their new masters. At the wrecked Formica nest, the queen roams amid the ruins, her offspring abducted and enslaved. A true tale of terror. By the looks of it, dragons really do walk the earth. Massive, lumbering, Komodos can reach 10 feet and 300 pounds, bigger than a professional linebacker, and they're faster than a sprinter. They can move their bulk a surprising 11 miles an hour. But this dragon doesn't breathe fire. It snorts a foul-smelling slime. The dripping goo is saliva. It's so riddled with bacteria, it can cause a very fast, very nasty case of blood poisoning. All it takes is one bite, and the victim dies from infection within hours. The Komodo smells death with a forked tongue and moves in for a feast, joined by his dragon friends. Or, instead of infecting prey with blood poisoning, a dragon can just snatch a likely victim and be done with it. Each leg is equipped with 5 sharp claws to latch into flesh. The mouth has 60 sharp teeth, serrated like a knife. They're not designed to chew, but to slash and tear. Like a mythical dragon, the Komodo swallows chunks of its victim whole. Bones, hooves, claws and all. Yum, yum. Komodos, the stuff myths are made of. This is one bug you don't want to step on, because it's probably bigger than your foot. The giant centipede is protected by a segmented shell, like a flexible suit of armor. And its numerous legs make it extremely fast. But this is what makes it deadly. A set of hollow legs, as razor-sharp as fangs. They squeeze the victim while injecting venom, an effective way to kill quickly, if not painlessly. It's unlikely you'll find one lurking in your kitchen. The giant centipede lives in humid environments, in the forests of South America. Most of the time, it scuttles along the forest floor like a flexible tank. It's an all-terrain transformer. Intrepid, it will go to any length to snag a meal. Oh well, maybe it's better to stick with smaller creatures like insects and toads. For them, this massive centipede really is a giant of epic proportions. Get ready for The attack of the killer snail. Okay, it may sound lame, but these creatures are really creepy. Conus geographus is the most deadly cone snail in the world. It lurks in the waters off Australia, secure in its multicolored funnel-shaped home. During the day, it hides in shallow water. But at night, it comes out to hunt. Beneath its pretty exterior, the cone snail hides a deadly weapon. A harpoon. It stabs prey and then injects a complex and deadly venom. Even creepier, the snail fires the harpoon through its nose. Actually, it just looks like a nose. It's really a tongue. Then, the mouth expands and the unfortunate victim is sucked in like a vacuum cleaner. A cone snail has an arsenal of nearly 20 harpoons in its mouth, in various stages of development. Killer weapons help compensate for the fact that snails are, well, notoriously slow. Cone snails can't run after victims. Victims have to stumble upon them. And each one carries enough venom to kill 15 people, although the harpoon delivers a smaller dose that's usually not lethal. It's incredibly painful and results in nausea and trembling. But that's hardly comparable to the fate of this unfortunate fish. She may seem like an evil princess, ensnaring her victims with deadly charms. But the widow spider is perhaps just a misunderstood character in a complicated web of intrigue. The unwitting male can't seem to resist sex with such an alluring prospect. Pity. After all, this is how the widow got her name. She's notoriously single. It's best not to tangle with this lady, even if you're much larger. Oh, a bite won't be fatal. But you can expect about 48 hours of agony, cramps, spasms, convulsions, paralysis. Well, you get the picture. But that's nothing compared to the agony suffered by those unlucky enough to be caught in her web. It's strong enough to catch a mouse, although she usually picks up smaller visitors. The victim is ensnared. Once inside, the widow injects her special pre-dinner cocktail of neurotoxic venom, sort of like meat tenderizer. Now she can literally suck it dry, leaving nothing but a shell. Not all widows are black. They come in a variety of sizes and colors. This little lady is constructing a complicated web of deceit. Its wispy thin vertical lines may look like nothing special to some unwary passerby. All it takes is for a single footfall to catch on something sticky. Before the beetle knows what's happening, he's whisked into the abyss. And then events play out according to script. His insides are dissolving into a kind of soup. The widow jabs in her hollow fangs and slurps as if through a straw. Probably not a pleasant way to meet your end, but likely a satisfying meal for a lonely widow. Snakes terrify a lot of people. They're swift, silent stalkers. So a really large snake can be really terrifying. The anaconda of the Amazon. As long as a school bus. As heavy as 3 grown men. With a body over a foot in diameter. And in South Asia, the deadly python. It hunts on land and in the water. Slow-moving, patient. It hides beneath the surface, waiting for prey to wander too close. On land, it stalks its victims with a row of heat-sensing organs along its upper lip. It feels the heat of a body and pinpoints its attack. It may look slow, but the giant snake strikes like lightning. Prey is gripped with razor-sharp teeth that curve backwards. The more the rat struggles, the deeper the teeth sink into its flesh. The python then coils its enormous body around its victim, tighter and tighter. Life is literally squeezed away. Death by asphyxiation. And then the final horror. Eaten whole. Attacks on humans are rare. Although the most giant of these snakes are thought capable of swallowing a human. The anaconda's jaw has an extra bone that swings the mouth open at 2 points, allowing it to gape at 180 degrees. In the marshes of the Peruvian Amazon, Jose Damaso sets out to go fishing with his father-in-law. The swamps teem with life. He sees animals everywhere, but no snakes. There will be no escape. He could be eaten.
I grabbed its head and threw it off me. If I didn't, it would have dragged me away.
The snake leaves 3 teeth embedded in his skin. But Jose lives to tell the tale. Just like in the movies, these vampires come out at night. But they don't live in coffins. These blood guzzlers like caves or abandoned, cold, dark places. Their colonies can number to 1,000. Their food sleeps nearby, livestock, and sometimes the livestock's owners. Stealth is critical. Landing directly on the victim would likely blow its cover. So the bat lands on the ground and creeps toward its target on tiny bat feet. No other bat walks up to its prey. The vampire is also the only mammal with heat-seeking abilities. It searches for a warm-blooded target and then scans the body for hot spots, where blood flows closest to the surface. That makes for an easier bite. The bats climb over the sleeping pig and dig in. Razor-sharp teeth point outward to pierce the skin. They cut 2 tiny incisions, each less than a quarter-inch deep. But here's where myth differs from reality. Vampires don't suck blood. They lick it. Their saliva contains an anticoagulant that keeps blood flowing in a steady stream. They can keep at this for up to 30 minutes. All the while, the victim sleeps peacefully, unaware that a vampire really is feasting on its blood. On its own, a single red-bellied piranha isn't so scary. It could fit into the palm of your hand. But together, they morph into a fierce swarm that kills by overwhelming a victim. They travel in packs of 100 or more, hungry and looking for action. It's like Clockwork Red. Each piranha comes equipped with a powerful jaw with interlocking teeth, the shape of box cutters. A frenzied swarm can strip a corpse to the bone in minutes. They terrorize animals and people alike here in the Amazon. Found throughout the entire region, from Colombia to Argentina, red-bellied piranhas are one of the Amazon's most plentiful species. And one of the most ferocious. A fledgling egret is having trouble keeping its footing. Piranhas hear the splash and smell the blood. These teeth are sharp enough to leave a mark on steel. A baby bird doesn't stand a chance. Within minutes, the only thing left? A few feathers and a ripple of water. It's a frightening demonstration of the power of the pack. Some monsters are real, like the Gila. And if it hisses, back off. It's the sound they make before they strike. They rarely bite humans, but when they do, the small amount of venom they release is enough to make you sick. Bleeding, nausea, severe vomiting. Not life-threatening, but pretty unpleasant. Fortunately, these monsters pick on creatures their own size or smaller. Gila monsters don't have fangs like snakes. They latch onto prey and chew the venom into their victims. Just like this. The Gila. A real little monster. Ever heard of the swarm? This isn't a special effect. It's for real. These are killer bees. A rogue species imported from Africa and accidentally unleashed in the Americas. A stinger injects just a minute amount of poison, but multiplied by hundreds or thousands, and it's fatal. fatal for the bee, too. It can't fly away without ripping off its torso. But when killer bees feel their hive is threatened, they'll attack to the death. As many as 20,000 can chase their victim for up to a quarter of a mile. And if he tries to escape underwater, they'll hover and wait for him to surface, agitated and angry. Beware the swarm. Here's a good title for a horror film. Death Stalker. Scorpions earn their nicknames. If they look like a creature from another planet, they sort of are. They're from an age before the dinosaurs, when Earth was raw and filled with bizarre forms of life. Scorpions survived, perfecting their tactics and finessing their body armor. They're found in some of the most extreme climates on Earth, lurking in crevices and under debris. Pincers grab the struggling victim. The death blow comes from the other end. The tail delivers a toxic sting. Captives are torn into chunks, sprayed with digestive juices, and then slurped up at leisure. Unfortunately, scorpions aren't shy about wandering into human territory. And they don't hesitate to lash out if someone gets in their face. Convulsions can start in just minutes, followed by fever and soaring blood pressure. This is one prehistoric creature you don't want to mess with. Water monster. That's what the word mugger means in Hindi, one of India's official languages. And likely how the mugger crocodile got its name. It waits near shore, motionless, sometimes for hours. Many escape death by leaping over the water monster's domain. This bandicoot is not so agile. It blunders right into danger. The mugger latches onto the struggling victim with vice-like jaws, lined with nearly 70 spiked teeth. It's dragged underwater to a horrible fate, death by drowning while being chomped. The mugger is better designed than the bandicoot. A valve in its throat closes so only its prey drowns. To eat, he surfaces. And there, he crunches and snarls, just like the monsters of our imagination. It can be pretty unsettling to watch an invading horde. Ruthless troops on the move. More than 500,000 army ants in a single swarming mass, inflicting terror on anything unlucky enough to be caught in their path. Army ants live in the Amazon, preferring the dark recesses of the rainforest. This army has marched all night, carrying their young with them. Now, it's time to build a fortress with their own bodies. One ant, hanging by its claws, can support another 100 ants. It's the equivalent of a man holding up 3 tanks. A living, breathing structure. At dawn, the bivouac stirs. Masses of legs and feelers twitch, ready for action. They're hungry now, and soon on the move. The ants branch into columns that become like a living, seething tide of death. Thousands of ants moving in a wave as wide as a superhighway. The forest floor erupts as creatures flee for their lives. But some aren't so fast. Like all victims, they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. A scout finds prey and sends a chemical signal to his comrades. They come running. Each sting weakens the doomed creature. Tissue dissolves and turns to mush. Now it's easy to rip it from limb to limb. The grisly cargo of body parts is carried along the march. Water is no obstacle. The ants simply form a bridge with their bodies. Across this living structure flows 30,000 corpses in a single day. It's a slaughter like few others on this planet. A real epic with a cast of thousands. So be it giants, or swamp things, or dragons, or invading hordes, the world is filled with enough real life and death drama to keep us all on the edge of our seats.